It's time for some American muscle. It's all about the 60s and 70s here today as we race our way through the decades. Welcome to the 2018 Forza Racing Championship live from Seattle, Washington. I'm Kate Osborne. In Series 1, we saw a first-time champ in a series that really brought out the competitiveness in these drivers. Series 2 is all about the car-track combo and which driver can adapt the best as the challenges we throw at them. My friends, it's time to go racing. It's the first Wednesday Showdown of Series 2, North America. Now, if that doesn't make you excited to go racing, I don't know what does. Brian Eckberg, community manager here at Forza, analyst, good friendly face, someone all around. Are you so pumped to get Series 2 underway?
Oh man, I am so excited because it was just a few weeks ago that Series 1 ended with the playoffs. We were there in Seattle, fantastic time, but the playoffs, Series 2 is here, the points are reset, it's time to go racing, get things started, let's go.
And we're doing things a little bit differently this time around. We are going to be racing through the decades, today 60s and 70s, and the main difference that I thought was really interesting that I learned earlier today was the fact that these cars on track, the classics, really are different to drive than maybe some of those cars of today.
Well, we see a lot of variety here in today's races. If you saw the EMEA races from earlier today, we've got classic American muscle, we've got a Formula One car from the 1970s, and a classic BMW race car as well. So it's that same variety they expect in Forza, but it's power, it's grip, it's loud, angry cars. I love it.
Oh, it's so much fun. I think that's what this is really all about. And as we really are gearing up towards Mexico City, towards London, I think that racing is going to get even more exciting. We saw it earlier in the EMEA that it got a little aggressive. People are really, they're ready to go.
They're ready to go, and you expect a high level of competition in EMEA, and we've seen in Series 1 that, I don't want to call it dirty, but the North American races were getting together. But we saw the European races getting together. We saw a lot of incidents in races 2 and 3 especially. So what's going to happen in North America when these guys race like NASCAR drivers all the time?
Ah, it's so good. I think this is the right time to let you guys know that you get to dictate what happens in this show. You go to watch.ForzaRC.com, and really, you get a chance to pick the polls. You get a chance to complete those quests, even earn some prizes. Check those out.
Look at all this. I don't even
like
know where
candy.
I know, where do we start with
a
menu of rewards like this? You know how I feel, Kate. You got to look good when getting into the car. So I'm going with the Carnival driver suit. That's what I want most.
I really think that's something I want to go with too, but I saw that 2017 Mercedes AMG GTR in person, and not only was it just, it had such a presence, it was, it was incredible.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with anything on there.
And speaking of that, this is where you get a chance to really join in the fun here and dictate what could happen as these guys are going to be racing Circuit de Catalunya Grand Prix circuit, and we know that this is an important racetrack. It's incredibly smooth asphalt and flowing corners. I think it's 16 turns, 2.89 miles. It'll be interesting to see if you guys want them to go with the McLaren, which is going to be a car that could really, it's a 6-speed transmission. It handles that speed a little bit better, as opposed to the Lotus, which is more finesse. And I think it would be really interesting to see on the track as well.
At the same time, they're both 1970s F1 cars. They're completely mad. They drift around the corners. They don't turn, they drift around corners. They're so much fun to drive. These guys are going to be in a world of hurt, I think. It's going to be awesome.
I'm so excited. Okay, so this is not all just about the Wednesday Showdowns that lead us up to Mexico City. It's not all about London. It's also about the weekends that lead up to these Wednesday Showdowns. And there was some incredible racing that we had this weekend.
We sure did. And, remember, these guys start with qualifying. They have the qualifying events that start at the beginning of the week. They've got 48 hours to set their best time. It's 2 days of really impacted, concentrated hot
Totally.
lapping to get into those Saturday and Sunday races when they're, fighting for a chance to be here on the Wednesday Showdown.
Which this Wednesday Showdown, all of these points add up, and that's what's so cool about this series is Series 1 adds up the points with Series 2, which then obviously is what gets these guys to the World Finals in London. What were some of those big surprises that you saw out of this last weekend?
Well, last weekend in the North American, the top three maybe aren't a surprise. We've got Lightning, we've got Venom, we've got guys like that. But right there in fourth place, we've got AMS Vanquish, a guy that you remember in the playoffs, he had a ton of penalties. So this is one of, if not the most penalized guy in the ForzaRC, and he's starting in fourth position. So not only is that good for him, but he's got a lot of fighting to do, and the guys in front of him may be looking in their rearview mirror.
Okay, the big question is who is looking hot?
Yeah, who's looking hot? Well, of course, you can't discount Lightning because he's always a favorite coming into Series 2. He's one of the fastest guys in North America, and you can't count him out.
Well, let's go ahead and take a look at what did happen because I think that's an important thing to really see the nitty-gritty of this last weekend.
Later on in the day, it was home territory for the NA region in the All-American car and track choice. TX3 Lightning started off pole position with his teammate Billy Sue following closely behind him in third. With 2 laps to go, FOH Venom saw a window of opportunity up the inside of Lightning into the last chicane, and not a lift from either of the drivers, pushing each other to their limits. Lightning had the inside line going into turn 12, but it was Venom who was already committed and had to make this stick right round the outside, wheel to wheel through the last corner where many drivers had already fell victim to the tyre wall. Venom outbroke Lightning into turn 1, and this was the story of the race, a showcase of racing respect and craftsmanship between two of NA's biggest threats, as Venom well-deservedly took the win in race number 1. A horrendous start for AMS McQueen going into Series 2 as the driver scrambled to get around his stalled dodge, and on the other side of the scale it was his teammate Vanquish who was battling for top spot with Veloce Force 1. A carbon copy of Venom's performance as Force 1 tucked it between his legs and hooked it right round the outside of turn 12 in a similar fashion, gaining the lead through his excellent braking performance into turn 1 and going on to win the race. Back to cloudy Catalunya, where immediately it was a recovery race for McQueen, this time though getting off the line cleanly. And it was an unlikely mistake from FOH Revs exiting turn 13 that made it just that much easier for McQueen to challenge the FOH partner in crime, Diablo. Diablo outbroke himself and clipped the tyre wall out of La Haya. Diablo though was thankful that a loss of one position wouldn't hurt his chance of making it through to the Wednesday Showdown, as McQueen took third spot on the podium. In Lobby B, not showing signs of a defeatist attitude, Lightning brought the battle to Venom in the early stages and began comfortably extending. Newly recruited Alien Motorsport driver Sterile, however, was uncertainly becoming a threat presence, tailgating Harmonic for most of the race. Unfortunately, his qualifying hopes flashed before his eyes after losing control of the McLaren and sim-twitching across the sand trap into the barrier, giving Harmonic more room to breathe. An open invitation was immediately sent to the rest of the drivers as they tried to capitalise on the mistakes from Master Apex going into the final chicane, seeing GG Racing and Sparky going toe-to-toe in the final stages of the race. Lightning winning race 2 that meant the top 4 had mathematically secured their positions into the Wednesday Showdown and were now racing for the all-important grid positions as the drivers headed off to Road America. Thinking his night was over from race 2, it became a roller coaster ride for Sterile, taking advantage of a few incidents early on, allowing him to finish 5th, and saw him just edge his way into the bottom of the Wednesday roster. Too little too late for the Team Highlands racing driver Sparky, after being no brakes in turn 3, was able to recover, and 1 point would not be enough to secure his place. In Lobby B, it was Revs, who desperately needed a points boost, decided to make quick action on his teammate Diablo early on to secure his 4th place. However, towards the top of the grid, Vanquish had found his feet in a BMW, making life difficult for Force 1, with multiple aggressive overtaking attempts, until Force 1 cracked, seeing Vanquish take his first win of the night.
And that was last weekend. I think of an interesting thing to take away those open wheel, those Formula One cars back then. Super loose. They were not comfortable on the track.
They had some downforce compared to the 60s F1 cars. Certainly, they didn't have wings, but in the 70s, they were still figuring out this whole downforce thing, and they still had a lot of power, huge rear wings, huge rear wheels, I should say. So you saw those guys in that recap there struggling with grip all over the place at Catalunya.
And in Series 1, we did see some open-wheel cars as well. And the differences of the modern age technology and what these guys are racing here in Series 2, I think it's an interesting point. You know, Lightning is a guy that definitely had some unique ups and downs during our playoffs. And it was fun to talk with him a couple of different times and not talk to him. There was a time he didn't even want to chat. He was so...
He's focused. I will say he was focused.
What do you think about where he is coming from playoffs now?
Well, you remember in Series 2 playoffs, he had that incident with Lage. He has been known to be outspoken and an aggressive driver. We hope that he can get to a place where, similar to Box, he can elevate his mindset and have a lot of success here in Series 2.
I think it's going to be very interesting. Scott Cole, what do you think? Do you think it's going to be an interesting turn of events here today? Do you have any things that you might expect out of this?
Well, anytime you talk about North America and they get involved and they get their hands behind the wheel or on the controller, it's going to be wild. I'd like to welcome in my partner, Ali Tack. We're back again, this time for North America. And when you think about these three races, we even saw some wildness from the European side of things. So when you put the North American guys and they're ambitious overtaking, we could see some interesting stuff here in these races.
Yeah, I mean, it might be Destruction Derby out there today, right? There's a lot of contact between the different drivers. So hopefully we can keep it clean. We're going to start with maybe the tamest car track combination, and that's the Dodge Challenger out there on track. A little bit easier to keep clean, maybe.
Let's take a look at our drivers that we have, the 12 that have make it to the Wednesday Showdown from North America. You know about Lightning, you know about the newcomer Force One. If you can get more reps, I think you'll continue to improve and push Lightning. But Venom is the guy that's actually number 3 in the global position.
Yeah, Venom is always there, right? He's always there. We don't sing his praises enough. This guy, every single week, is out there absolutely dominating the races. It's looking good for Venom out here, although I've got to say, Lightning and Billy Sue are both going to perform well this week. Both of them like the dry, and there's no wet races in this week's Wednesday Showdown.
And our second set of 6, so you can see here, newcomer THR Tri-Pass, and we haven't seen him for a while. He's actually number 323 on the global leaderboard, so he's getting a sort of a fresh start here in Series 2 that he can make a push for Mexico City.
Well, I love it. This is just, it's new people showing up to the Forza Racing Championship, and what it says is anyone can get their controller, get behind the wheel, and start racing and really perform at the very top level of the sport.
Well, we are nearly ready to go here in this 1970 Dodge Challenger RT 1970. I mean, it's got a huge V8 engine in it. It weighs a lot, 3,800 pounds, 4-speed transmission, and it's going to be interesting to see which track was voted for before. We see Road Atlanta or Indianapolis. No, it's going to be Road Atlanta. So both of these were built in 1970. The car and the track, they were made for each other. Well, maybe.
Maybe, exactly. We didn't see a lot of overtaking at Road Atlanta last time. It's all about making your opportunities. Saw some very promising moves, though, in Melish's recap. So who knows what's going to happen here.
And here's how they'll line up. Lightning will be on the start. Force 1 second, Venom third. And we are go, go, go here in Atlanta. Lights out. And there you see Force 1 riding right beside Lightning as we head down to turn 1 here on Road Atlanta.
Force 1 with his nose around the outside. That's going to be on the inside, coming into the S's at the top of the hill. It's going to be forcing the issue.
And I am just hearing that we have actually had a disconnection on the start. That's a rarity. They're going to get relined up. Think of it as a rolling start that goes all the way around, and someone just wasn't quite ready for us to go lights out. So they'll reline them up on the grid. And we'll have an opportunity to look at that again. What about your man, Billy Sue? He's running down in 5th spot, but I think that's actually good attacking position for him.
It's a fine attacking position. I think Billy Sue will be a little bit disappointed in the restart, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Because he got through the first turn cleanly. He made it a good start to his race. Same thing with Force 1 Lightning. All those people will be thinking, wow, the only way's down from here. I could get disadvantaged in the restart.
Yeah, Billy Sue, 1 win, 14 podiums there in Series 1, and actually has made a name for himself, not just in this man's heart, but among the audience as well. Now, for Lightning, anything less than number 1 is always a letdown for him. But he's got to keep Venom off that podium. That is his main guy right now. I know you got Force 1 that's kind of like, he's kind of hanging around, and he's pushing you. He's always going to be there. He's a very aggressive driver, but Venom's the guy to watch for because he's slow and steady, but still fast.
You know,
if that makes sense.
Think back to Series 1. You know, Venom made all sorts of moves, all sorts of wins by just outsmarting Lightning. Lightning was getting too aggressive. He'd throw the move at the wrong moment in the race, and that would end up with Venom just picking up the pieces that Lightning's just letting go on the track. So I think there's a little bit, you know, as Brian said, a little bit Lightning has to smarten up this series, but Venom, he's going to be there to pick up the pieces if he doesn't.
In 37 races, Lightning had 12 wins. He was on 24 podiums. He was very consistent. When things went well for him, he was able to capitalize. Let's remind you of the grid one more time as we reline the guys back up here for race number 1. Lightning is going to be on the pole. Force 1 is in P2, Venom in P3, but there's some names you got to watch for. Billy Sue, Harmonic, Kid Revs finally gets the thing going. Old Mr. Paul, I missed the name. And then one of our newcomers, Try Passing there at number 9. Could he make a run in this series? Then please, McQueen, do not wreck anyone today. I know it's your thing. I know penalties are your thing. But let's try to keep it clean out there in North America if possible.
I've got to say, Brizzo, 12th position there. He does tend to underperform in very, very heavy cars, and that's what we've got starting off here.
Here we go again.
Brizzo.
Second time as we head down to turn 1 here on Road Atlanta. It's the full circuit. We're in Brazelton County, about 90 miles outside of Atlanta, and through the first right-hander. You can see Force 1 and Lightning. Neck and neck down the straight. We have a little bit of bumping and grinding toward the back.
Force 1 and Lightning look like they were side by side there, and they still are down the hill now in the first sector. You can see them right at the front of the screen there.
And that's where the action's going there in that 1, 2, 3. Got to put on those brakes as we head up through the S's. Through turns 4 and 5. Not going to get a lot of speed. I mean, 3,800 pounds, that's tough to get up. Lightning still holding on, but Force 1 with a little love tap through turn 6.
That was more than a love tap. All 4 wheels locked up. That was Force 1 jumping on the brakes, trying to avoid the incident, but it just couldn't do it. Car's going to slow down a little bit slower if all the tires are standing still.
Now we'll go over the crest, all the way down to the chicane. And Lightning's doing a good job here. You want to try to stretch this out, try to get to the right side of the track here. When you slow down at that Michelin sign, be then able to dive back into the chicane.
Yeah, I mean, Lightning will be looking backwards here and just thanking Venom. He needs Venom to challenge Force 1. Those two get in a little fight and Lightning will pull away. He'll start to break this pack. That's what we're seeing happening right now. In fact, look how fast 2 car lengths, 3 car lengths through that final chicane. So Lightning absolutely taking advantage there of his 2 rivals wobbling.
And how you come off turn 12 is everything here at Road Atlanta as they race down for the second time down to turn 1. Lap 2 of 8. Scott Cole and Ali Tack with you. This is our first race of the day here in North America. Probably evening where you're tuning in, wherever you might be. Thanks for making us a part of your evening here tonight. Up through the S's they go once again. 1, 2, 3, Lightning, Venom, and Force 1 has fallen back to 3rd, and probably rightfully so after a little bit of contact with Lightning.
Yeah, it looked clumsy. It looked like he wasn't really aware of how much grip his cold tires were going to give him under braking. Maybe should have just waited to get his rhythm a bit more before trying the move. But Force 1, a little bit impulsive, very, very hungry for success, maybe pushing the car a little bit too hard.
Well, I think they know in those first couple laps, it is so very important to get positioning, because as you settle into the race, it makes overtaking that much harder without someone making a mistake.
Too right. You're too right. You cannot get too used to seeing the car in front of you. Has to be absolutely your mission to get past that car. You have to force the issue if they won't give it to you.
One of my favorite parts of the track, up and over the crest, down the hill towards turn 10. So you have the momentum of going down that crest, and then you end up being forced into a chicane here. And it's going to take, not full braking, but it's going to take the right entry to come out with a good exit to be able to propel yourself up the hill. You don't want to lose too much of that momentum.
So a big lock up there from Lightning as he just turned into the corner. His inside front tire, all the weight moving away from it and just losing any traction. That braking just seizing the tire up. So a little bit of a mistake there from Lightning and a big mistake from Force 1, leading in the final corner. That's giving a chance here, but not quite enough. I say that.
Well, he's well off on the side. Yeah, so Vanquish will come by. Force One, not sure what happened to him there. Billy Sue will also move up into 4th position.
Was that Force One disconnecting from the race there? Big shame.
Certainly would seem so.
Big shame to see that.
It's pretty tough to miss your braking when you're coming in on the 2nd or 3rd lap, coming down to turn 1.
That wasn't the kind of accident you'd expect to see from Force One. At the same time, earlier today we saw Chemical just mistake his braking point,
Sure.
fly off the track. So it does happen. But yeah, I think that one was not an unforced error.
Lightning's got to be careful here. He's losing valuable tenths of seconds, slowing down out on the grass. And of all the racers that we have in North America, Lightning's definitely one of the fastest. Venom's probably the most consistent pace that they have over here in the States.
Yeah, exactly. It's the hare versus the tortoise a little bit, if the tortoise was also super, super quick. Lightning maybe tripping up over himself a few times, his own head getting in the way of victories, whereas Venom, yeah, very much a solid, mature driver who will punish Lightning if he trips up.
Well, as we head to lap 4, let's bring in our eyes in the sky. Brian Ekberg, what's going on, my man?
Yeah, I just wanted to give you guys a look at what happened with Force One there again. Reminiscent a bit of a Catalunya race where he just sort of, the driver that was Chemical sort of went off. As he would go into turn 1 here, we see Force One just getting a little late there, drifting off into the grass there. Now he's all the way at the back.
So it wasn't a disconnection. It was just some aggressiveness that turned in to a mistake halfway through this race. And for a guy that was battling for the top spot to be the lead dog, he's now all the way in the back. Maybe he'll let us know after the race what was going on in that lap 3. We progress though, riding along with Harmonic. He's got Diablo behind him. We jump up top to Venom, who's trying to chase down Lightning, who's starting to really pick up the pace and leave some car links in between him and Venom. As they go around turn 7, little kink into 8, up the crest, back down the hill to the chicane.
You know, I love to watch this car over the bumps, over the elevations here at Road Atlanta. It's a track built over a hillside, so there's a whole lot of undulation to the track surface. And the suspension of this car does a great job of exaggerating those potholes, the divots and the rises. So it's an exciting, dynamic car to watch around the track. The drivers, though, they do find it a little bit heavy, a little bit spongy for their aggressive styles.
Boy, a little tap in the back, and that's not what you want on a chicane. You're trying to time it just perfect. A lot of momentum lost. Trying to climb up this crest to hit turn 12 and turn back toward the start-finish line. That is AMS Sterile, who's got tri-passing, and that's what he's trying to live up to his name, trying to go past Sterile through that chicane. Some lake braking. Of course, he had Force One also on his inside. Was making it tough to navigate through turn 10.
Lap 5 of 8, we're back in that battle for the lead. Venom here looking like he's struggling to make inroads into Lightning's gap up ahead. So Venom's going to need a little bit of good luck here, I think. Lap 5 of 8, in order to close up that gap, might require a mistake from Lightning, but that isn't too uncommon.
Yeah, Lightning right now driving it like he stole it. Pretty much running hot laps right now. And this is, you know, you and I both went through the qualifying process earlier last week, and it's a rhythm car. I mean, if you lose any momentum, you don't lose tenths, you lose seconds.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You can so easily drop a huge amount of time in this car, and that all comes down to balancing your steering inputs, especially with the way that the weight is transferring usually across the car from the left to the right.
And Lightning's just much faster on this sector of the track. Coming out of turn 7 all the way down to 10, that's where he's gaining almost a car length every time they come down this a bit of backstretch through turns 8, 9 onto the chicane.
And he's so able to use the torque of that massive Mopar power unit. So able to put that down onto the asphalt, all that incredible pulling power that big, basically, tractor engine gives you.
Yeah, 490 torque if you're rating it in Forza. It's a 7.4. This car made its debut in Forza Motorsports 2, part of the September car pack back then, and it's been in every Forza title since. except for the original Forza Horizon. So it's been a fan favorite. Maybe not a driver favorite this week, but it is certainly a fan favorite, as a lot of these 70 muscle cars are. Great on a straight line. You put it on a track. I know it's an RT, a road and track, but it's more road for me.
Yeah, mostly are. Yeah, mostly are. We're sitting on board here with 8th position. That's AMS Sterile. Looking up at the battle for 6th, Revs and Diablo going at it. So 2 of F4H's contenders here, battling it out for 6. If they get too tangled up with each other, yeah, AMS Sterile will be in there to make a move. But F4H they're pretty savvy boys. They'll know all about that as Revs makes a big dive towards the back straight.
Can't make it stick, though. Good effort here on lap 6, but just a bit off. And so Diablo working on the backside, down to turn 10A and B. Through the chicane. There's a little Michelin sign on the right side when you're coming down there. It's a perfect braking point if you want to get out there and see what time that you can put up. I put up about 148, terrible. Allie was in that 140 stretch, but the pros are 2 or 3 seconds faster than that.
Running 139.6s out there on track. Absolutely incredible. Lightning will be happy with his performance here. At the first race, very loose there. It's that Venom up the road. I'm looking at it's not as harmonic.
It's actually harmonic. Got a little squirrely. Lap 7 of 8. Let's check in with Kate Osborne.
A family dude from chat was saying after the tire wall, that left turn, I either drifted way too wide or didn't carry enough speed. It was awful. How easy is that to do for these guys?
Once this behemoth, this 3,800-pound potato gets out of control and a bit at the limits, it's real easy to do.
It is a car with a mind of its own, absolutely. You can suggest that there might be a corner coming up for it, and it'll take that into consideration, but it's absolutely no guarantee it's going to turn for you. It wants to go straight.
It's a car that wants to go straight. As once again, they power through turn 7. This is Venom. Been trying to chase down Lightning for about the last 5 or 6 laps. It was a tangle between Lightning, Force 1, Venom, Force 1 with the error, and that's where you're seeing that real gap, is because that's where Force 1 was hanging out. He's no longer there, so now Lightning, just your leader by about 200 feet.
Yeah, exactly, and that picks up on something I was saying earlier. Lightning must be very happy with his performance here at Road Atlanta. He's the one driver in this pack who doesn't outperform his average at Road Atlanta. He doesn't do better than at other tracks, and so this probably would have been his toughest combination this week. And he's looking strong, looking good for the win. So Lightning will be very happy with how he's driving.
Final lap here on Road Atlanta, the full circuit in our 1970 Dodge Challenger. First race of the evening for our North American drivers, 12 in total. And they'll be going through 3 circuits here tonight with some 70s F1 racing coming up just around the bend. Back up to our number 1 car, that is TX3 Lightning, followed by Venom. And it's been just about the same car length as Vanquish is actually caught up a little bit to Venom in that 2nd spot. So now Venom needs to maybe take his eyes off the prize and start to think about that 2nd place podium spot.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be able to. I don't think he'll be able to take his eyes off for Lightning here. He wants that win. Venom has never lost at Road Atlanta. Never lost. In the ForzaRC. So this guy looking down the barrel of his first non-victory at Road Atlanta as Lightning just has been absolutely unstoppable here. He hasn't been able to make an impact in that gap. Yeah, tough stuff for Venom. Have to reconsider.
And Lightning, though, started off with the pole. And in our final roll through the chicane here, let's bring back Brian Eckberg. Brian, it's been a heck of a race so far.
I like what I've seen of Sterile here. He's made up a few positions in a race where people start much where they ending up much where they started provisionally. Sterile's made up some positions. A good debut for him.
A great point as Lightning comes across the start-finish line. And you know, we haven't seen a lot of Sterile. His average finish has not been well. You haven't seen him really in the Showdown. 0 podiums, 0 wins. What impressed you about his last couple laps?
Well, you know, this is a polite car. This has been a polite race. It was a polite race this morning. It's a polite race today. But there's a lot of speed to be found on this track. So it seems like everybody benefited from Force One's mistake. But Sterile took advantage and even got 2 more places, whereas most people were getting 1 place here and there, moving up. Sterile got, I think, made up provisionally 3 places.
Yeah, while Force One was getting squirrely, there as we head down to turn 1, Lightning was already gone. He was already headed up through the S's. So everyone else was just trying to play catch up after that moment.
Yeah, absolutely right. You have to remember, Sterile, previously I Am Sterilizer, he's a new signing to AMS, who have recently lost their team leader, Roadrunner hopping off to Williams. So they're rebuilding. This team is rebuilding its competitive side, and Sterile doing a great job of representing there.
Yeah, you wonder if there's a vacuum there for leadership. Sterile's saying, hey, look, I didn't finish on the podium here, but a pretty good finish considering where he started.
Right.
Yeah, really no need for a race replay. Clean racing all around. We talked about the few things that happened to Force One there. That was really about it. Yeah. As you know, his early aggressiveness through that first lap, trying to take over that #1 spot, and then I don't know if it's driver error, connection error, whatever happened when he was going down to turn 1. That was the entire drama there on Road Atlanta.
And if it was a mistake, you know Force One's going to be beating himself up for it. This is a guy that, you know, he puts his heart and soul into all this racing, and he just emotes on Twitter about everything that happens to him in a race, all the good things and all the bad things. So it'll be interesting to see what he says about this when the final results come in.
Well, let's kick it over to Kate. And Kate, what is the provisional results for race number 1?
We are about to take a look at that, but Brian, I think you just made a great point. We know Force One does end up letting us know how he feels about these races, and I encourage all of you who's racing out there today to let us know your debrief on Twitter, because it's so awesome to hear your insights. I can only imagine Lightning is feeling quite satisfied as long as we go along with these provisional results, and he's still up at the top there. First Lightning, second Venom, third Vanquish. 4 Billy Sue, and 5 Harmonic. Actually, on chat there, Harmonic, they were saying, "Ooh, getting a little aggressive there." Gentlemen, did you agree with that?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, that's par for the course to him. We also saw him lose it a little bit going across the start-finish line. Was able to finally straighten out that plumb crazy challenger and keep that 5th spot as it was coming around. Really, nothing in that provisional results was surprising to me.
Nothing massive shift there from what we saw. As you say, the big news of the race was Force One with that little mistake. Harmonic, yeah, I mean, looking aggressive out there. I like that aggression, though. I don't think it's bad to see Harmonic getting a bit loose. And that's because, in a way, I wonder if Harmonic's hungry enough in previous seasons. I wonder if he wants it. So when you see him pushing the car over the limit, that says to me, okay, this guy's switching it on now.
Yeah.
And that's the real key to that car. I mean, you have to take it up to the limits, or you're like me, where you're 10, 12 seconds behind. Let's just be honest. That is a car that you have to push to its very extent.
Well, this is a car, remember, that Ali Tag said was absolutely appalling in terms of its chassis. So we know where you stand on this car. But it's interesting to see that of the cars that we've had here in this 70s-themed race day, this has been maybe the worst handling car, has resulted in the most polite racing.
It has. It's resulted in some of the drivers, I think, definitely saying, you know, I don't want to look silly out there. I don't want to throw this thing around or crash into anybody. It is a terrible chassis. It's on that point. Just factually, it's awful. But it's an incredibly iconic car. It's cool to see it out there. Yeah, it's from Vanishing Point, and that's just such a cracking film.
Yeah.
You know, this was certainly a key race for Lightning. You know, that it did not have maybe the performance or even the finish that he wanted out at the Series 1 playoffs, finishing 8th. So he needs to get off to a hot start. He needs to start getting back into that championship rhythm.
Not sure Road Atlanta is a favorite of Lightning. I
No.
think you mentioned that he kind of underperforms at Atlanta traditionally, but here he is with a win. He's feeling really good about that. Not only was it a win, but he was pulling away for a good deal of this race. So I think this is a great start for Lightning. He's got to be feeling really good about where he is.
I just want to throw in a counterpoint there. I think Lightning needs a failure. And the reason he needs it is because there's something wrong with his driving. I think it's fundamental because he's going into lands right now and suffering, you know, having accidents, wrecking his chances out there.
I just want to make sure I heard what you said. You said that a win is not good for Lightning right now?
It's not good for him. He needs to reassess. He needs a reason to do that, I think. And I think this is giving him... Maybe, he can't just go out there and win it again. He needs I don't know.
You think he needs some opposition, some serious obstacles to overcome?
Exactly. He needs someone pushing him. And I think Venom's the person to do that over this season. But in that first race, Venom didn't make it look easy.
No, he didn't. And you were talking about Venom at the top of the show. This is a guy that has quietly been, sort of quietly dominant. He has a good deal of podium finishes. This is a guy, but we seem to not talk about Venom a lot during a race. And that may be a good thing or a bad thing, but yes, he needs to, if he's going to make an impact, he's got to get by Lightning to do it.
He does, and that's always been Venom's problem. And in a sense, it's like you're never going to be able to compete right at the top of the world scale, right at the top of that scene, until you can be the top of your regional scene.
Do you guys want to continue your podcast, or would you like to know the final results?
Okay.
All right,
we're going to have a couple.
Let's go over to Kate, and hopefully we have the final results.
I want to listen to their podcast. That's pretty entertaining. But the provisional results were final. So no changes in that. You can imagine Lightning, Venom, and Vanquish are feeling pretty ecstatic about that. A few different reminders that the format for the competition, it's really cool. Obviously, we have these Wednesday showdowns, and throughout the weekends prior to that, we have a few different events that go on to lead us to these Wednesday showdowns. That, of course, then takes us to the Series 2 playoffs in Mexico City. Then, all of a sudden, you combine Series 1 playoffs, Series 2 playoffs, basically the whole series all together, and it's taking us to the Forza Racing World Championship in London, United Kingdom, October 2018. Check out that series. Gosh, a lot of time to get up close and personal with you friends here in Forza community. Okay, now it's time to open up another poll. Again, this is where you get to tell us on watch.forzarc.com how you want these races to go in your opinion, right? So these guys are going to be running at Road America full circuit. We all know that track very well. And it's going to be that BMW Motorsport 3.0 CSL or that Lola. You let us know. Both of those cars will be quite interesting on a track like this. That GT car is going to be faster. But I don't know. I think it's just going to be a fun race. Either way, prototype versus a real GT car. And of course, on the long straights, on the 14-turn Road America, you can't go wrong altogether. All right, it's time for race number 2. I think you guys are going to be ready for it, right?
Absolutely. We are ready to go, and we're going to find out what you guys voted for race number 2. You have the choice between the McLaren or the Lotus. So let's jump right into the cars and the tracks. You go with the McLaren, that M23 that was featured in the movie Rush. It's a beautiful car, 6-speed, very light, a lot of power.
I mean, you have the choice. Do you want the championship winning car from 1976, or do you want this one that kind of won one race? Of course, it's going to be James Hunt's McLaren at Catalunya. Of course, these cars never raced Catalunya. Back then, it was a different Spanish Grand Prix at Madrid.
You're right indeed, and the biggest part of this track is turns 3 and 9. As we take a look at the grid, Lightning's going to be up in front, Venom in 2. Where is Force 1? He's all the way down into 9th now, and we are lights out, and we are ready to go on Catalunya. Race number 2, as they come flying down. It is a long straightaway down into turn 1, and don't forget your braking mark. That's the only advice I have for you as they fly through, and Lightning off to a hot start here, Ali.
And what a fantastic change of pace here at the Wednesday Showdown. It's jumping up from the Dodge Challenger into these Formula One cars from the 70s. Vanquish side by side with Venom as they both enter turn 4. I thought he was going to catch the rear of his car there, but those two just about keeping it on the asphalt.
Yeah, there's a lot of patience. You got a lot of power. You got to be very careful with the throttle as you navigate this circuit. 8 laps through Catalunya Grand Prix circuit. And I just love the sound. I mean, I can't even explain the transition we just went from Road Atlanta and a 1970 Challenger to all of a sudden we're in a 1976 McLaren M23.
It's electrifying us, and I think it's electrifying Vanquish as well. He looks so hungry for that second position, threatening Venom everywhere. I've got to say, this is a car which plays into Venom's strengths. It's lightweight, it's high power, it's all those good things that somebody who's brought up, cut their teeth on prototype racing just like Venom, the kind of thing that someone like that loves. So Venom made to look a little bit silly here in what could be his home turf. That's a spin behind.
Yeah, well back. Some errant. And that's going to really open up the pack. It's going to be a 1-2-3 show as 4 is well back there in McQueen, who jumped up a spots, but now trailing by over 1,000 feet back there as they come back to the start-finish line. And you mentioned Venom, 11 wins in Series 1. He was on the podium 26 times. As we see the back, Diablo running at 10th, just ahead of try passing. Revs continues to follow for F4H. On board with Vanquish once again. Now trailing Venom. This is a good 2-3 battle. Venom's got to be careful of his line.
What a fantastic fight this is warming up to be. The two of them just in lap 2 of 8. There's a big old scrap to go. Lightning, of course, loving it. He's checking out in the distance. But this fight for seconds, absolutely awesome. I don't know where Vanquish can make the move right now. I think probably his best chance is coming into that hairpin at turn 10, just at the end of this straight. It won't happen this lap. That's too big a gap.
Let's bring in Brian Eckberg now. Brian, what the heck happened in these first 2 laps?
I know I want to take a look at that start because there was all sorts of bumping and jostling. We're looking at from AMS Steril's point of view. Bumps into Diablo a little bit. Diablo gets into Billy Sue there, and then as we're coming around the left-hander into turn 2, keep your eye on Billy Sue there. Ooh. He spins around, hits that curb, hits the gas, spins himself around, and takes out Harmonic as well.
See that car snap, absolutely incredible.
Yeah, almost like a 90-degree right turn as he's really trying to center it with all that power. Thanks for the update, Brian. Lap 2 of 8 as we cross the start-finish line again here for lap number 3. Still don't know what happened in the spin well back that created such a large gap here between 3rd and 4th. It's about 5 seconds off the pace is the rest of the pack. Lightning up ahead. The real battle, though, is between Venom and, oh, man, we got a pit.
That's
we
what
got
I thought I saw.
Billy Sue coming in.
Such a shame. Billy Sue, absolutely electric in Series 1. I just enjoyed watching him race. An incredible driver out there. I'm raising my standards a little bit for Billy Sue in Series 2. I want to see him in Mexico, but I want to see him there in a more dominant position. So not a great start for the series for someone that I'm very curious to watch.
Check in with Kate Osborne once again. What's going on with Vanquish?
Well, Mouth Milk on chat is saying Vanquish needs to look for a hole, and Venom is kind of cautious. I don't know. What do you guys see?
I would agree. I would agree. I think Venom's a driver that maybe is more on the cautious side compared to someone like Lightning who will just throw it in. But that's worked for Venom. There's a reason he's got 11 wins in Series 1. But I think, I go back to Ali's point, I think he's, I think you're right. I think you're patient here and wait to see if Venom makes a rare mistake, especially in these middle laps.
I mean, just to look at the way Venom treats cars, he loves a car with a lot of power, a good power to weight ratio. At the same time, he doesn't love a lightweight car. And that's maybe why we're seeing him a little bit out of sorts here, driving maybe tentatively, sure, yeah. And in the moments where he's not driving tentatively, looking like he's over or on the ragged edge.
Lap 4 of 8 now. Billy Sue now all the way in the back, 51 seconds off the pace. But Vanquish trying to close it down on Venom. You're halfway through this circuit. Still don't have to make a move yet. You don't have to try to throw anything in yet. You're not even close enough to attack. So just, this is the part where you just clean racing, try to shave a few tenths of a second off. But Venom's hard to catch. He's actually caught up with Lightning a little bit, who's maybe eased a little bit off the throttle, seeing how big of a lead he has.
Yeah, I'm glad we're on board with Lightning. We're just seeing a master at work here. Lightning setting down and showing us why he's won 12 races, put this car on the podium 24 times so far this year. That's because he has this pinpoint accuracy, this ability to just pump incredible laps in time and time again. As I said, I think he needs a challenge. He needs to push himself harder. But this is not the week for that to happen.
As we get ready to come back to the start-finish line here, let's take a listen in to this 1976 McLaren M3. It's a beauty. defending, trying to hold out Force One, who did not have the finish he wanted. They're in race number 1, but he has climbed up through the circuit as we move into lap 5. Lightning still up front. Venom, Vanquish, McQueen, Harmonic, and Force One. That's your top 6 right now running.
See a big old wobble there. Was that Venom, second place with a huge moment coming out of turn 1. Would have dropped him off some from Lightning. He must have been close. That's a big mistake from him.
He's got to be careful with the limiter there too, running those high revs, laid on a few shifts.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I know that's hundredths of seconds, but over 8 laps, those add up.
Racing engine like this, you downshift a little bit early, you buzz the limiter on the way down as you're braking. So easily give yourself engine damage. That's going to cost you throughout the rest of the race. You're not going to be getting perfect power from that engine for the remainder of this race. Not something I don't think Venom's done yet, but he's pushing his luck.
Towards 8 laps, you're really not worried about the damage. You're not worried about the tires. This is a sprint race format. They race 3 races. We'll take the results of race 1 and 2. We'll flip it. We'll do a reverse grid in the final race of the night.
Force One looking so strong here in 6th position. It's no coincidence he's won every race he's ever had at Catalunya. He's always won here in 3 visits. Never come anywhere but the top of the podium. I don't think it's going to happen for him today. He's going to break that record, sadly. Break that
Well, he
spree,
doesn't
I should
have.
say.
He would normally be running 1, 2, or 3 off the pole.
Yep.
That hadn't happened for him after that poor performance on Road Atlanta, so now he's got to climb the ladder, so to speak, as we move into lap 6 of 8. We're in race 2 of 3. Got a good one coming up at the end. Will we see the BMW again on Road America? You'll have to stick around and find out. Make sure you get your votes in. So Force One still stuck in 6, right by Harmonic. Billy Sue, you saw the trouble that he had. He's dropped all the way back. Tripassen's not had any pace. It's been Venom, Lightning, and Vanquish. And Lightning just out there, once again, just hot lapping this thing. Really impressive start to his Series 2. I want to keep saying
back in that
Season
battle
2.
again. Back in that fight for 4th position. Force One still at the rear of this little pack, but a switch around there with McQueen dropping back behind Harmonic. It's just about spotting a gap, a little moment. Force One right now is, mind will be seeing 1s and 0s, just trying to calculate where McQueen's going to be, where Harmonic's going to be. Is there a way of threading the needle, getting his car past McQueen and even maybe past Harmonic in a shock move? He'll be looking for any chance that he can possibly get here.
Well, in basketball, we'd call this sizing him up, and that's what he's doing right now. He's just sizing up. He's just seeing what his natural state is. You follow him around for a lap. You see, okay, well, maybe he drifts a bit wide going through turn 9. That might be my opportunity. Maybe do I wait to get on the inside of turn 3? We'll find out here in lap 7 of 8 as Force One barrels into turn 1 and 2.
See how late McQueen was on the brakes there. He sensed the move from Force One.
Here it
and
is.
Pushed his braking even later. Only just gathered up that McLaren for the apex.
The long double right-hander through turn 3.
Into turn 4, another right-hander. Turn 5's the hairpin to the left. Harmonic's getting away here, but Force One started to sink his teeth into McQueen.
Just 2 laps to go. You want to, ooh, there's a little bit of contact. Maybe McQueen staying on the brakes a little too long. That's a way to cause some distance. That's also a way to lose a lot of momentum. Let's see if Force One can push.
That's the run. Let's see Force One here fishing around now, looking for a gap. McQueen's chosen. He's moved wide, letting Force One have the inside line. He's going to throw it in there. Absolutely awesome move. Super aggressive.
Let's see if he can make it stick, and he will. So Force One, patient, finally getting past McQueen, moving in to that P5 position, coming up on just a little over a lap to go. As we work down the backside of this track, boy, he's going to have his hands full the rest of the way. McQueen's going to want that spot back, and he's a guy that proves for one spot he's willing to give it all away. He's that kind of driver.
6 penalties to his name, McQueen. At one point in the Series 1, he was the most penalized driver out on the track. It looks like he's really cleaned up his act over the last few events. Force One will still be looking in his mirrors with raised eyebrows, thinking, don't do it to me, don't do it to me.
Boy, up ahead, it's just lightning. It's a lightning show here in lap 8 of 8. Force One finally putting the move on there, Brian.
I like what I'm seeing here. Force One and McQueen, a battle here, and Force One putting behind race 1. It's a mistake. Put it behind you. You're only racing the track in front of you. Get it done. He had a lot of patience there. Great, masterful pass.
He might be in a decent starting position on the reverse grid on Road America. We'll have to find out. Final lap of the race. McQueen lost the position. He's fallen back to 6, and I don't see him grabbing this back. It is going to be another unofficial Lightning win. Venom, very strong race out of him. Just never could catch up with Lightning. Lightning just easy like Sunday morning rolling around here in Spain.
Great performance, and didn't put a foot wrong, Lightning, throughout that race. He's looking strong out there.
Yes, he is, Ellie. He certainly is. I'll remind everyone, that's 2 wins in a row for Lightning.
But
so,
is it good for him?
By your measure,
Look,
he's having a horrible day.
We all like chocolate, Brian, but do we eat it all day? Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
Yes, sometimes we do. We started this day off as Lightning up front, Force One in second, Venom in third. But Force One, he's fallen off a bit, a little bit to his mistake on that first race. Climbs up now. The question is, now with the reverse grid, what sort of situation has he put him in?
Force One would like to see himself, and I think I buy it. I buy it that he is as one of the front runners here. He's definitely running that lead pace.
Yeah.
And so this reverse grid gives him advantage over the likes of Venom and Lightning. There's people who are always up there. He might be able to bring it home a victory here.
Yeah, as I was watching the race, I was wondering, boy, Force One looks really comfortable in all this traffic. You know, we always say, I'd love to be up front with no traffic to worry about, but Force One, I wonder if kind of what you're saying about Lightning, if he revels in that challenge, he's got to make some passes. It inspires him to do even better.
Yeah. And, you know, we saw last time out as well, Commando coming from almost nowhere and really challenging for the win. Didn't quite manage the win in the end, but really challenged for the win of the whole week. And that's something you can do only in the reverse race. Absolutely incredible.
You guys want to watch the replay? You guys okay with that?
Yeah, let's
take a look at the race replay here for race number 2. And I agree with you. I mean, Lightning looks fantastic. Force One looks comfortable even through all this chaos.
Yeah, and you got to feel sorry for Billy Sue here again. There's that, snap over to the right-hand side. Just touching that curb, it can be a disaster in a car like this.
Pushing too hard, and it's just that, you know, putting the throttle down as the car unloads, it gets so sensitive, so sensitive. We're seeing Harmonic here muscling his way through the pack, knocking McQueen to the side. That could be a penalty later on.
Yeah, we haven't spoken a lot about Harmonic, but I like what I saw here. You're right, and there may be a penalty there, but he turned in another solid performance there. Harmonic reminds me a little bit of Venom in the sense that he's a quiet racer. He's got a lot of skill, but he needs some help here to make an impact.
I'd like to see Harmonic maybe get some penalties, you know, because like I was saying, it says to me that he's hungry. I don't see it so often, you know, in him.
Is he the Rossi of North America? Is that what we're calling him?
Even
I
more
don't want to go that far.
Yeah. In a sense, though, I mean, like it's like Rossi isn't maybe aggressive enough in the overtake, but then also he's got that kind of compounded by maybe like someone like Davies' skills in the EMEA as well, who maybe doesn't seem hungry enough for
And
it.
Rossi knows he's got pace, so he knows if he can just keep it on the track, he's probably going to have a good result. Harmonic feels like, yes, he's got to push to make some things happen.
Exactly.
Let's head over to Kate Osborne with the provisional results.
Well, the chat called it. Family Dude on there said that Force One was going to make a move into the hairpin, and I think it's interesting because that became a big conversation piece. More importantly, Force One was 3 for 3, so you guys are talking about him being comfortable. That makes sense. The track that he knows so well, so you got to imagine that he has to be at least satisfied that he made a big move there to help him solidify, potentially, as we see the provisional results, potentially a 5th place. Although not where he wanted to be, of course, I'm sure. Lightning there in first, Venom in second, Vanquish in third, Harmonic in 4th, and Force 1 in 5th. Now, there was a question there at the end, and I would be curious to know if we will see any red or green arrows when we see the final results. That is to be TBD, I suppose. Well, we definitely want to take a closer look at what the eye candy is that's filling up our studio here today. I think it's a car that definitely has quite the presence. A 72 BMW 3.0 CSL. CSL standing for Coupe Sport Lightweight. Talk about some history. In the 1970s, this bad boy raced in Europe from 72 to 75, representing brands like Canon, Marlboro, and Levi's. It won the Dutch Touring Car Championship in 75, but the car hadn't actually turned a wheel since that last race, until 2016, when the current owner drove it out on Laguna Seca. This is comparable to the 75 BMW Motorsports 3.0 CSL that is an option today. Extreme aerodynamic kit replacing most of the car's stock body panels, and large fenders to house wider, slick tires. And then you see that huge wing on the top of the trunk lid. All of these modifications to make this gorgeous car downright aggressive and menacing, and coining its Batmobile nickname. With 430 horsepower and 0 to 60 in 6.5 seconds, this GT car was making a statement and marked the beginning of a special era for BMW, one that would cement the automaker's image as a race car manufacturer. As BMW M boss Frank Van Meel said, it's a top-of-the-line track tool, made on the track for the track. And in chat, it was interesting that you guys are super opinionated on whether you want to see the BMW or the Lola. We'll find out that in just a bit. But right now, here's a word from our sponsors. It's time for the hot news of our Forza Racing Championship.
So hot.
There's a lot of news going on. Let's first start with Williams Racing. It's big news.
Yeah, of course. We're starting to see these guys picked up. You know, we've seen a lot of movement in teams over the years, but now we're seeing teams, real racing teams from the F1 world, from professional racing, forming their own esports teams and picking drivers from the Forza Racing Championship.
And what an interesting way to see how they pick their drivers as well. You know, just having a look at the premier event, going off and seeing the Seattle playoffs, and just going like, okay, which ones on that podium can we get?
That's right. Who doesn't have a team or is willing to move?
You
Yeah,
know, and
right.
I think that is totally true. Consistency for Roadrunner, right? That was the name of the game for him in the playoffs, was consistency, in box as well. But I think that was an interesting payoff.
And for Roadrunner especially, that was such a vindication of how talented he is as a driver. You know, we've kind of been having this story like, oh, did Roadrunner deserve his win at Le Mans last year?
That's right.
And he's been there on the podium every single time since. This guy is absolutely on fire.
You know, I think another interesting point is the fact that Mitch is on board as well, and the dynamics of the team in that way, and what that really looks like.
Well, we saw Mitch really sort of sweep his way through JSR. He sort of took over that team in Series 1. We had been so used to talking about Rossi as the main person, the main driver at JSR, the most talented, the fastest, the cleanest guy. Here's Mitch just pipping him every race.
It's going to be trouble, Brian. It's going to be trouble. These two, you can see him. Mitch here, he's such a fast underdog in a sense, and Roadrunner, of course, the sort of de facto leader, coming from AMS, leader of the team. He'll think of himself like that, but yeah. Will it last? Will it last?
That's right. It's proven on the track.
Well, let's talk about those top performers, too, from Season 1. I mean, they're all being recruited now. And that isn't also, you touched on it a little bit, but let's dive a little deeper into that as we look at the Series 1 playoffs final results.
Yeah, I mean, look at Box is now a member of Noble, Roadrunner and Mitch. The podium is taken by, big-name teams now, AMS and JSR, replaced by Williams. And of course, this Veloce team with Force One and racers, this just seems to be a trend that's only going to be continuing, Alec.
Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely right. And nice to see some of the community teams raising their game as well to try and fight this, or fight it, but, compete at the top level. TPR certainly, a team who are sort of on the up and up. And also we spoke a little bit about AMS starting to recover already from Roadrunners disappearing.
Yeah, somebody's got to fill that leadership void in AMS.
100%.
I think another thing to talk about, we talked about it a little bit there, but that maturity that we've seen in box, how maybe Lightning will be doing that in the next couple of years as well, perhaps this season, and really the significance of having a team supporting you, how important and critical that is.
I think I'm interested to see how the Williams and the Saubers of the world and the Veloces sort of bear down on their drivers, because we've talked about the fact that these guys are coming in to big name racing teams where expectations are on the line.
Super high.
Super high. So, Ali, they're going to be, I imagine there's going to be training regimes for these guys. Maybe they'll be, managing their diets. Who knows? There's a lot of expectations on these.
I want to know if you're doing that. You let us know if that's what's happening. Break it down for us, what your day in the life of. If you're, because I think that's important. And it is a mental strength. It's a physical strength. We saw that transition in box, and I think that was something that everyone took away from the Series 1 playoff is he transitioned as a driver and as an individual, and that all paid off. Plus having Noble behind him.
It did, exactly, it did. And this is a little bit what I'm talking about with Lightning, maybe having it a little bit too easy today. Is that he needs to maybe raise his game mentally and on the track as well. And I think he needs to be pushed to do that.
We saw a little bit of that with Hard BR at the playoffs because we were saying, wow, look at Hard BR. He's the kind of guy that can push Lightning. We didn't think it would happen, but there it was in the playoffs.
Well, speaking of this aggression and the pushing of people, not that this has much to do with it, but finals are in.
Oh,
so
good.
let's go ahead. And we're just kidding with you. That was a false alarm. They're not
okay.
in.
All right. Oh no,
Here they are. Would you imagine? Look at that. Well, is that surprising to you?
So Lightning takes the win. Good stuff. He's looking very strong today. Venom, again, unable to challenge. No penalties, though, which is always nice.
No penalties. I love that. Clean racing. A stark contrast from the EMEA race. And one thing I wanted to point out is that Force 1 and McQueen, between them, made up 11 positions. So even though they may not have finished where they wanted to, they had a fantastic race making all those positions up.
Well, I think that then is a really good opportunity to now see what we've seen here and take it into the leaderboard as well.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot to learn here as we look at the current standings here with Lightning on top. 2 straight wins, of course. Venom, 2 straight second places with 30 points total. And then things get a little bit more interesting with Vanquish. Look, Vanquish having a great result here. One of the most penalized drivers in the ForzaRC has stayed clean, managed the 3rd place overall. Good job.
Good pat on the back for him. And I think we got to remember that it's reverse grid, right? That's what's coming up next. And so maybe to some of these people it played to their strengths, and it was an advantage for them as they're going to be starting now towards the front, which can make a big difference.
Look at Tripassin. Look at Brizzo, Stero. That's your starting 3 in this reverse grid race. So they're going to have this is their opportunity to get some points.
Gentlemen over there, how do you see this race breaking down, knowing that the reverse grid is heading their way?
Boy, it's going to be interesting. Lightning has had a lot of pace from the back, and that's where he's going to be. So he's going to have to fight his way through the traffic alley. He's going to have to negotiate a 2-wide, 3-wide situation sometimes here at Road America. I think he has enough pace. I don't know to go all the way from the back to the front, but I could see him in that top 6 for sure.
We have this stat, the PGRG, right? Forget positions gained in the reverse grid.
Yeah.
And Lightning is, absolutely dominating on that. He's easily the fastest, the most overtakenist, if that's a word, driver out there in North America. So definitely I'm expecting to see him come up through the field. People like Revs and Harmonic here, though, are going to struggle. Both of them, their PGRG, a little bit lower.
Yeah, 7 for Lightning, so he averages nearly 7 spots overtaking on this reverse grid, and he's going to need it here. I mean, he's going to need a good push. I think for him that 8th place finish at the Series 1 playoffs has left a bad taste in his mouth for the youngster out of North Carolina.
It definitely has. He'll be happy with his performance today. Like I've said it a few times now, but I wanted to see him. I want to see him changing, evolving as a driver. I worry that he's not being pushed hard enough in these races to have that happen. That said, anything can happen. He'll keep building his confidence.
I mean, Venom is third on the global leaderboard. I mean, what more do you
Yeah,
want?
what more do you
right?
want? I mean, it's on track, though. It's on track where Lightning has to be challenged. He has to be pushed, pressure applied by a driver chasing him very close or even making moves on him. That's the crucible where you build character as a racer.
I think if a rivalry can build in North America between Lightning and Force One, I think that's two similar styles.
There you go.
Right? Because Venom and Lightning are contrasting styles.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, Venom runs very clean laps. He likes to be mistake-free, and Lightning is like he's transporting moonshine in North Carolina, right? He's driving it like he stole it. And I think Force One is also cut from sort of that same cloth.
Absolutely right. And, you know, flipping the focus there, and quite rightly, you know, who is the person who can come along to challenge Lightning here? Is it Force One? Is it Venom? Is it somebody else altogether? You know, Vanquish having a great run here. He's the most penalized driver in ForzaRC, but racing very clean this week. Looks like he's managed to reset in the intermediary.
Well, let's see which car these guys are going to be driving around. Road America up in Wisconsin, and oh my goodness.
Oh, yeah.
Forget the
Let's
BMW.
go.
Forget we took our time sourcing it and bring it into the studio. It's the Lola, the number 10, the special, the T183. This is a skateboard with a wing on the back, and they'll be going through Road America full circuit alt. I want to make sure I put that alt on the end. There'll be no kink. And we saw that really cause some trouble in Europe.
615 brake horsepowers of Can-Am right here. This car is an absolute monster. So super looking forward to how this race works out. Try passing on pole position.
Yeah, and they are ready to go. There's the grid, and here comes the action for you here on Road America. The
long run.
alt full version, and they are raring down to turn number 1, and Rev's already in the spin cycle. Off on the side is Paul, aka Revs, and he's going to get back into traffic, but he's dropped back to 11th.
Ooh.
Sterile, get out of the way. You're off on the side too.
That's a massive crash now on the way
Huge
out of turn
back
2.
there.
Huge amount of drivers off the road. So very, very difficult car to control in a very tight area of the track. Yeah, big disadvantage for a lot of people there.
Somehow our leader was able to get through. Let's find out where Lightning ended up and all that. He's still in the back. He couldn't just put the throttle down and trust that he was going through as they go through the Corvette Bridge. Well, I'm sure we'll hear from Brian Eckberg soon to sort out the carnage already in lap number 1, but we had cars going everywhere.
What a golden opportunity this is for race leader THR Tri-Parson. Never had a win in the ForzaRC, never even had a podium in the ForzaRC. Now is his time to shine. So Tri-Parson with the race lead at this early point and a massive crash behind. So a good old gap back to Billy Sue in second place.
It's just a skateboard with a big wing on the back. There's Billy Sue. Had to go through the pits earlier today. He's got Brizzo on his heels. And this race just got real interesting. Normally you see those faster pace guys that have been racing well today in the back of the pack start to move their way through. Now Venom did climb up to 7th. I think that's worth noting. He's now in the middle of the pack. After 2 good races, he's going to have a chance to attack over this next 7 laps or so. Scott Cullen,
there
LA
it
Tag
is.
with you. And already passing is Billy Sue. Try passing? Yes, sir. Billy Sue comes right through from the man from THR.
Tri-Parson pushing too hard there through the last sector. He wanted it too much. Slipped off the road, and this is now the Billy Sue that I get so excited about. This is the Billy Sue that I think could be a ForzaRC champion in the future. He's got the lead, and I think he's got it in an absolute headlock.
Started the day in 5th, and for him that was disappointing. I was giving him the tip of the cap, but he was ready to go, and he was in overtake mode from when the lights went out there in lap number 1. Moving to lap 2 now. Force 1 is now 5th. He's been a bit of struggleville today. Venom riding along in 9th now, but it's Billy Sue rocking and rolling up front.
And now's the time to find your rhythm. Now's the time to thread the apexes together. Make sure you're keeping it clean, make sure you're lapping safe, and make sure that you're lapping very, very fast.
It's Road America. Such a beautiful track. No kink, remember, as it's the full alt.
We're still here with Billy Sue as we head around the carousel for lap 2. Going around to what would be the kink here, but it's replaced with the alternate circuit with a little left-right and onto the back straight for Billy Sue.
Let's check with the man Brian Ekberg as we send several of these race cars into the spin cycle.
We saw a lot of action here at the start. Just want to replay the start because there's so much happening here. We saw Brizho here up in second place at one point, but a lot of, here he is in third place in this position. You're going to see Sterile here on the left. He had gotten loose and had taken out a bunch of cars in the back there. We're going to see another angle. You see them all going squarely there. Here's Brizho going into that turn, and you'll see that moment where Sterile got into him. Looks like he just hit the curb, over-rotated, and ran into him.
Well, wild on the track and wild out there in the community. Kate Osborne, what do you have for us?
Well, it's been really fun to talk about and chat with our community. First and foremost, thanks everyone. It's so cool. Manteo Max said, "Will anybody be left to show up on the podium?" Then Taylor Lightning Stomsky said, "There goes my race, sick." And then lastly, VTR Vettel had said, "And Force One believed NA would be cleaner." I mean, gentlemen.
I never believed it, but when you're running a 12th spot, Lightning has enough time to chime in on Twitch. And of course, Max, who does a great job for us moderating and just really just crushing it in the community. I want to give a tip of the cap to him running along. Of course, Brian and Kate joining us in the middle of these races to give us sort of that view that we don't see outside the track has been fantastic.
Absolutely right. Harmonic there, giving Tri-Passing a little bit of help to go wide at the hairpin in turn 3. Makes a gap for him and F4H Revs, who's now lost out through the next corner. So these guys, a bit of a race of attrition right here. Cars sliding wide and giving gaps to other drivers.
Well, a nice job here by Force One. Now he can play catch up. Able to get past some of the, I'm not saying slower pacers, but drivers that we had that have been a bit off the pace here this evening in North America, and now he can really try to attack those top 3 spots. I'm not even worried about Lightning. He's 6,000 feet off the pace. He is way back there. It's all about Billy Sue, Harmonic, and Force One, and I think Revs is going to be the next person to overtake Tri-Passing, who at one point was hanging out up top.
Absolutely right, Tri-Passing sinking back now into 5th position. But Force One is now going to have to turn the magnets on. He talks a big game. Does Force One. We haven't seen him match that game with results yet. And now's his chance to prove it.
Hey, Billy Sue's looking pretty good. Let's go back to Kate Osborne. How about Billy?
Yeah, Billy's running pretty quick here. And earlier before this race started, someone had said, remember, Billy Sue's going to be starting up front with that reverse grid, really showing what he can do. However, that also means there's some pressure from behind and you can't act out. How challenging would that be for Billy Sue, knowing him as a driver?
It's a headspace. It's a headspace that you have to get into. You have to commit to the win. Understand that you can be the person on the top of the podium at the end of the race. And if you truly believe that, then there's nothing easier in the world. He's hot lapping now. Just don't drive off the track. But it's if you don't believe that, if the doubt creeps into your mind, that's when concentration slips, and that's when you start seeing the lead driver sliding off the track. I think Billy can do it.
Yeah, right now it's just muscle memory. In fact, for Billy Sue, you've been out on this track. Hopefully you've practiced this car, knowing this could be an option. In my mind, it's basically a go-kart with a big wing on the back.
It is.
But right now he's got a 1.8 second lead over the second place driver. Of course, Force One still on the attack, not far behind Harmonic. And here goes another driver past Tri-Passing. This time it's Vanquish with a nice run for AMS.
Tri-Passing looks like he maybe didn't put the practice in that he should have in this car. That's a lot of mistakes from him now, and a few too many for me to think that it was just pressure that's doing it. I think it's a little bit of a lack of practice from Tri-Passing. Maybe he committed to the BMW rather than the Lola.
Good battle here between two F4H boys. That's Diablo and Revs. You got Venom right there as well, so It's a little F4H caravan as they come down side of this track. There's a little love tap. When you're teammates, that's what you got to call it.
Diving down the middle there at Canada corner. Revs will try the cutback, but this next corner's on the left. That's Diablo off. Throwing it away with a battle with his teammate. You don't want to do that, Diablo.
That's poor timing, poor effort through 13 and 14. They were clean around 12. And now back through the start-finish line.
So surprised. So surprised to see it.
Very surprising. I felt like they had a caravan and maybe a bit of frustration filling in of, all right, guys, I gotta get in front here. Let me lead the pack. And now Venom, after a little touch, and he has gone around and off to the side.
F4H, the team are looking in disrepair right now. Losing 2 drivers to Veloce. They've been in recovery ever since. And yeah, Venom tripping over his teammate, Diablo tripping over his teammate. These guys all need to have a little bit of a huddle, I think, and get their strategy down before next week.
Press F4H to pay respects. Good grief. Lap 5 of 7. It's an individual competition, but we've seen some teammates get tangled up. Try passing, falling back to 5th. There you see Diablo in 9th. Venom is in 11th. Lightning, forget about it. He's just making laps for donuts. He's not going to get anything out of this race. He had enough time to even chime in and say, sweet, my race is over. And we encourage it. I don't, no texting and driving out there in the real world, but when you're riding along in 12th, sure. Might as well chime in. Billy Sue still out in front. Nice reverse grid. And he's really outclassing everybody in this Lola right now.
He's doing an incredible job out there. Gifted a little bit of a lead earlier on, so, maybe with a bit of luck on his side, but absolutely able to take full advantage of it. So Billy Sue looking super strong for the win. I've got to say, though, I feel like second place Harmonic is beginning to bridge that gap as we see a beautiful move there. This is one of the AMS drivers around the outside of Brizzo.
Hey, I'm from North America. I'm USA. I'm America. And you see the BMW as, sure, just drive off on the side. Sure, why not? Just park it over there. The valet will take care of it. Just throw your keys. But you see the BMW in studio, and of course, us being from America, we were like, no way they put the Lola out there. They don't bring the BMW in to make us race that skateboard with the big wing around the track, and your nightmares have come true.
That's right. I like the BMW, but you've got anything with a bit more power in it. You've got anything with a bit more. I can do with a couple of 100 extra horsepower.
Can we get the Hoonigan out there? Yeah, something.
All right, fine. A Lola. Let's go. Fine.
Lap 6 of 7. And it's been Struggleville. I know we're in Wisconsin. We're in Speedville, but you might as well call it Struggleville. Except for Billy Sue. Harmonic has now moved up 7 spots. He's in 2nd place. And he's got Force 1 right behind him. But Billy Sue, are you still the president of the fan club?
That's right. President, founding member. You got to say here, you got to recognize the game. Harmonic moving up all those spots up to 2nd place and now beginning to threaten Billy Sue for the win. Is looking very, very strong here. I wonder if he might get even one chance at overtaking in the final lap, because that gap to Billy Sue is decreasing corner by corner.
Lap 6 of 7. Billy Sue in Series 1 had 14 podiums, just 1 win, with an average finish of 4.6. So he had some success in North America, and right now he's just stretching the legs. Harmonic's trying to push back there. You can see him using every bit of limits that Road America can bestow upon him. And here's Try Passin', who's just been a human roadblock. They're at number 5, and Revs is going to give him a tap. Let's see if Paul, a.k.a. Revs, can come on by. My former favorite privateer.
He's got to run. That's Try Passin' making his one defensive move on the straight. He's coming back across to take the line here, so I wonder if the Marshals might take a little bit of a look at that. That was a sort of right-left, 2 moves along the straight. Maybe Revs was out of the way by then. We're back just 1 position. Is this Sterile in 7th? It is. So Sterile doing a great job here. Someone we're talking about really working his way through. Fantastic to see him up there.
Yeah, just trying to recover from that catastrophe in lap 1. He was running 3rd, falling back to 7th, but everyone really had to sort themselves back out as we had several drivers off on the side. Lightning said, I'm done. Let me know when I can. And then we got Revs off to the side.
Absolutely missing his braking point there. Revs just must have mistook something, a lapse in concentration, whatever it was, just totally misjudging the braking. So he'll be kicking himself, but Sterile now has a chance, and a very good chance, at 5th position, especially with Triparson making that same mistake again through the infield kink.
Now, I know this chassis looks like a Baja car, but you got to keep it on the asphalt here at Road America. Sterile looking for maybe a podium position. He's found himself well back, though, of the top 3. We're in our final lap. It's been all Billy Sue. Harmonix tried to push. Force One's tried to push. But it was all about that first lap that just put this entire race out of sorts.
Absolutely right. There's only 150 feet between them.
Did I just see somebody parked on the
That's
side?
Sterile up to 4th, so somebody's pulled over. That must be damage. Trying to look back.
Well, I have to wait
field.
for the ticker to come back around to find out. I swear someone was just pulled off to the side
Is that Venom?
having a ham sandwich. It was white bread. I saw it. So Harmonic Force One, not sure who that was.
And that's Billy Sue crossing the line. I couldn't be happier for him. Absolutely brilliant. See him taking a win here at the first week of Series 2.
Yeah, second win in 2018, unofficially, of course. And there was a lot unofficially they're going to have to look at in those 7 laps on Road America. I think everyone a bit surprised by the 1969 Lola, that old T163. But it's going to be Billy Sue, Harmonic, and Force One. 1, 2, 3 at the top. Let's welcome Brian back into the desk here. That was the final race of the evening here in North America. In North America, we got to do better. We got to do better. And this the guy doesn't count, but North America, we got to do better out there.
That's right. Well,
Billy Sue.
Billy Sue, hey, Billy Sue did better, right? I mean,
Yes.
this is a guy that benefited from some accidents out there, but drove a great race. Once he got up front, he drove very confidently. I liked what I saw from Billy Sue.
Yeah, and he looked predatorial on Triparson. I've got to say, Triparson didn't make it too difficult for him.
No.
Just, a little bit of a mistake. Billy Sue crept on by on the inside. But, held his own past there and controlled the pace of the race from the front.
Yeah.
Take a look at the replay here of race number 3 on Road America, and let's just watch that first lap about 10 times over, because that was the story in this one, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, all sorts of action here. You saw the F4H. I think this is the F4H guys getting into each other a little bit. But, man, there's just so much to talk about because there was so much action here in a car that we hadn't seen all day, spinning
I don't
all
think
over
these
the place.
drivers have seen it.
Yeah, exactly.
To be
I don't know
honest
what time
with
they
you.
spend here. But you see Sterile coming in here on the left, knocking over the car we're on with right now, and you see all the carnage behind. And here's that moment with Diablo and his teammate side by side coming into this right-hander. And maybe he was blocking. I think he was just exiting there, Diablo. Right. And gets pushed off to the side there.
Yeah, a few corners later, and Venom touches the back of Revs and spins as well. So F4H just tripping over themselves all over the place.
You don't like to see teammates fighting with each other, even if it's accidental. You got to make that effort to stay apart from one another.
Yeah, it is individual race, but you are a team.
Right.
And so I don't know if they have a Discord or whatever, but there's going to be some conversation among the F4H boys for sure.
And I think that's healthy. I think that's the right thing to do. They need to recollect now. They need to regroup and maybe settle a few issues before the next race.
And please tweet. We'd love to see what you guys have to say about this.
Do it publicly.
Yeah, we want this conversation public. No, but I think you're exactly right. That's good for a team to have those kinds of disagreements, and it's good to push one another. That's what being a teammate is all about.
Well, we had some earlier chaos in Europe. And really for a lot of the adjudicators out there said, well, we normally have the bar here, but since everyone else was wilding out, like everyone, we went ahead and put it here.
Right.
And that's why in a race that there could have been everyone with a penalty just about. You just saw one penalty in that case. I think we might see the same thing in this one. Instead of nitpicking, say, all right, the top 3 look pretty clean. The rest of them, let's lower the bar and let's see if there was any additional incidents.
Yeah, you kind of wonder if maybe Lightning should have been racing that whole time, because depending on the second penalties we get, if there are any, Lightning had sort of given up in 12th place, but maybe he should have been lapping a little bit harder because he could make up some places here potentially.
You got to remember as well, it's Lightning's teammate Billy Sue who won that race. I don't think we've talked enough about Billy Sue yet, but he's the guy who won that race. And so I'm starting to feel like, you know, we're talking a lot about teams, what do teams do here? Maybe Billy Sue can be that person who can push Lightning, even if the other drivers out there aren't necessarily doing it.
Well, iron sharpens iron. Well, we have
there you are.
The provisional results. Let's go over to Kate.
You know what I think is super funny about this whole thing? Everyone is talking about this Lola, and you, the community, chose that. On chat, people are like, I can't believe you guys chose Lola. It was all of you who did it, and you guys put these guys up to the test, and as even Billy Sue said, OMG, that was hard. But then, of course, you have Venom, who was talking about the fact is, congratulations, you guys may have chosen, I don't know, driven the worst car ever in a race that we've had so far. So very interesting. Let's see how this has shifted down the provisional results. I think we'll see maybe a few different things. You know, Vanquish was one of those guys that really needed to maintain that 4th. We didn't see exactly what happened there that final lap, but if he had stayed in 4th, he could have gotten on the podium for today. Probably quite a disappointing afternoon, evening for him. But of course, Billy Sue, Harmonic, Force One, Sterile, and Try Passin', who I heard in chat is from Wisconsin as well, so I feel like this is his hometown race. Well, 2 of our buddies in the Forza community, Tanner Faust and Joseph Newgarden, are going head-to-head in a champ versus champ battle, and it's going to be 6 different series throughout the entire season here. And I think this is one of those things when you have the reigning IndyCar champ, and then you add that in with a global rallycross champ, a drifter, and everything else alike, and their 2 skill sets put together into one little battle, it should be pretty interesting.
I'm Joseph Newgarden, and I'm a professional race car driver in the Verizon IndyCar Series with Team Penske. Career highlights would probably be winning the 2017 Verizon IndyCar Series.
My name's Tanner Faust. I am a race car driver. Winning X Games Gold was one of my bigger achievements.
I always loved cars. I was always kind of exposed to the sport of racing. So anything that had 4 wheels and that could be driven to its limits, that was kind of what interested me.
I was lucky enough to be involved in this very cool film speed film where we took a McLaren out on a track and we actually made a zoetrope like animation from these boards on the side of a racetrack.
Forza Motorsport was kind of one of my gateways into racing. For me, it was all about leaderboards. You know, how can I be the quickest on as many tracks as possible and the highest class on the game?
I've come to the office here in Seattle several times at Turn 10, done some consulting on how this feels or how those tires feel, or does this car feel like it really does in real life?
You know, I would look at other guys' laps on the leaderboard, and I would study their racing line. I would look at their telemetry, kind of look at their throttle, brake inputs, all those sort of characteristic things that you learn later on you will use in the professional racing world.
One of the lucky parts about my job is that I get to drive a lot of stuff. A lot of these cars back here I've gotten to drive. That helps the guys over at Turn 10 to come in there and say, oh, that's exactly what a 458 feels like when you slide it around, or that's what a GT2 feels like.
Tanner's a cool guy. You know, I've always watched Tanner since I was a kid. You know, getting to interact with him because of this relationship with Forza Motorsport it's been really fun.
I have a lot of respect for Joseph. He's the level of commitment to compete in IndyCar, much less win a championship, is staggering. It helps that he's like 12.
You know, I'm not going to take it easy on Tanner just because he's the wily old veteran.
They're walking around here. I doubt he knows most of these cars were ever even really built. Probably just thought they were in games.
You never take it easy on your competition. It doesn't matter who they are, so he's going to get the full effort from me.
You know, we have 2 totally different driving styles. He's incredibly good with downforce, obviously come from IndyCar. I don't know how much sliding around he's done. I'll definitely pick a car that slides a bit.
I'm looking to sweep him. If we're doing 6 races, I'm going to sweep him 6 out of 6.
I dare you to get in front of me. That's all I'm going to say.
It is going to get interesting. You know what? Really like the fact that Joseph, his concentration face. Did you guys see that?
He's got Forza face.
Forza face. I want to know if he's doing that in an IndyCar too. Is biting his lip, getting all into it. That's awesome.
That's why he wears the mask and the helmet.
Yeah.
It's not for safety. It's to cover up the face.
Oh, that's gonna be good. Who do you guys have for that one?
Oh man.
I know.
Ooh, I'm leaning toward New Garden, I think.
Ah.
I'm going that way, yeah. I think...
That's because Tanner sits next to you at the finals.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
You gotta be careful. You can really make things difficult.
Kick me under the desk.
Yeah.
Well, no, I actually think I agree with you. Tanner
Sucks to be you, Tanner.
Tanner's a relative. I don't want to say new, but he just doesn't have the years and miles that Joseph has in Forza. Joseph came up in Forza.
Right.
He'll tell you himself that he played Forza. He was a leaderboard guy before he was an IndyCar driver. So I think Tanner's got a lot of, he's got a high ceiling, but if it was up to me, I'd be putting my money behind Joseph.
You just called Tanner Faust a noob. I heard it.
Yeah, I'm bigger than him.
And I'm gonna go with Joseph.
Oh, wow.
I know, and
That's sweet.
That's a sweet.
Because nobody has quite the confidence in Tanner. I have confidence in him driving a real car. I think on the
Oh, yeah.
streets that would be interesting to see them match up. But
Yeah.
Joseph and what his history is, like your point, Brian, it's pretty incredible with Forza. Well, the big news here today, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see how it all shakes out. How many green arrows and red arrows we might see the finals results are in.
Absolutely. Oh, man, look at that.
There you go.
It's a Christmas tree over there.
And that was when I was worrying about harmonic there. I think we saw a little bit of a move in turn 3, him bumping someone a little wide there. I was trying to place it in my mind, and it looks like he's been punished for that 5-second penalty.
Yeah, you can't really complain about a 5-second penalty when it's still on the podium. So he's got to be feeling good about a third place overall despite that penalty.
Well, then you bring in Taylor Lightning Stominski, and he said no penalty will help. How bad I got blank. Followed up by, well, just getting wrecked like usual. So
Lightning getting 2 wins today and still getting salty about getting wrecked. I guess I
know?
don't blame him.
That's the championship
That's
mindset,
emotion.
isn't it?
Yeah.
You know,
That's
you can never have enough. You always have to push a little bit harder. And you know, I was laughing, but at the same time, it's an element of motorsport that you can penalize after the fact, but you can never give back to the driver who lost out.
no doubt about that. Well, we got to check out the leaderboard because I think things are going to shimmy out for a few people here today, Vanquish being one of them. He knew what he had to do to get in the podium.
Look at this in the top from 2 to 4, position 4, a spread of only 2 points. So Billy Sue really, with
Hold
that
on.
final win, vaulting him up into second
Hold
place
on.
overall.
How happy is Billy Sue?
great.
I can just, Billy Sue, if you're out there listening to us, please let us know how happy you are because I can only imagine the smile on his face.
Yeah, great news for Billy Sue, and it was a brilliant way to start his Series 2. Venom as well in 3rd place.
Yeah.
So that kind of silent contender we've been talking about in Venom, there again at the top, but not maybe in that kind of shining position. We're not going to be cheering and all that stuff, but he's there.
He's
got to be
there.
noted.
And
Yeah.
right now, that's all you need to be is there, in contention.
And this is just one of our Wednesday showdowns, guys.
That's
and
right.
we have 3 more in this series that's going to be leading us to Mexico City. Let's take a look at where we're all going to see each other again later on in the month. And then the month after. And then I think the following month.
Just keep doing it.
We're just going to keep on going here. Take a look at the Series 2 Wednesday Showdowns. You can make sure you join us on watch.ForzaRC.com. A couple of you in the chat were asking, where can you get more information? Of course, check us out there. This is a series you can follow along, and we're happy to have you join our community. That, of course, takes us to Mexico City. And then we are going to be live from London in October 2018.
Yeah, very excited. So you guys are all going to come round.
We're going to stay at your place.
Get my,
Yeah.
get my place. That's
Surprise!
lovely.
Oh, and Billy Sue is a follow-up, just so you all know. He says, I'm crying.
Go
That
Billy.
makes me so happy.
Team Billy.
Yeah. Box cried after the playoffs. We know that it can get
Yeah.
emotional, and we know that's a possibility. We want to take it out to our Forza final thoughts from the 4 of us at Forza.
Ooh,
I don't know.
alliteration.
I'm trying to get all that.
Nice.
All right, let's start with you, Allie.
Final thoughts. You've got to congratulate Lightning on a great start to the series. I've been a little bit critical of him. I want to push him harder, but it's always very exciting to see him up there and racing at the top.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about Harmonic as well. Just missed the podium today, the overall podium, by just 1 point. So this is a guy we talk about. He needs that motivation. He needs to move a little bit like Lightning. I think Harmonic will feel pretty good about this result. He can keep moving. And
And Scott over there, my buddy. What you got?
Well, my final thought is, of course, it's always an honor to be here and call these amazing drivers each and every other week. And we just hope North America can raise it up, have some of that American muscle, and look forward to seeing Lage back and what that'll mean for the rest of the series.
You know, I think my takeaway today, too, is it's really cool to race through the decades here. I think it's really showing these drivers in a different kind of car. The conversation around Lola, the Lola was really interesting and fascinating, and I think we got to give it up to Billy Sue for what he did, and that must be a big confidence vote. I want to give a big shout out to our sponsors here. Of course, we have Play Seats and we have Plantronics, and for our cast of hundreds out here, we have Scott Cole and Allie and Brian and myself. We thank you for joining us here today. We look forward to seeing you at the next Wednesday Showdown.